Welcome back, boys and girls, to another edition of Joe Knows Stuff TV. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to do a pano of a beautiful sunset using any GoPro camera and Lightroom. Go to intro. Welcome back, boys and girls. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to do a pano using a GoPro, but basically you can use any camera. Let's jump right into Lightroom, one of my favorite programs, and I'm going to show you. The community lake is just a few hundred yards up the street from my house, and there's only 3 or 4 houses on it, and we're all allowed to fish there and camp there and stuff like that. But today is April 5th, 2020, so we are in lockdown. So we cannot go to town, I cannot go to state parks, I cannot go to national parks. I have to go to places like my lake or within walking distance, because all I can do out on the road is go get food, which I'm cool with. Alright, anyway, I took some pictures today of the sunset, and all I did was I took my camera, I had a selfie stick on it, I had it in portrait mode, which is this way. This is landscape mode, this is portrait mode. And I just took my camera and I went like that, and I made sure I got 30% within the camera. So that's what I'm doing right there, is just taking pictures, making sure I cover 30%. Like I say, if you look at this first picture, you'll see this little dip in the trees right there, and that branch dead ends right there. Well, I made sure to get plenty of the branch. You want a good overlap, and especially since this is not a mountain view, I've only got a limited view. Anyway, to make a pano, it's quite easy. Click on the first one. If your photographs are in consecutive order, hit the Shift key and click the last one. If they are not in consecutive order, click the Alt key and click them individually. Right-click on any photograph and go to Photo Merge Panorama. It will pull up a thing saying HDR. I don't want to do HDR, so we're going to go No. Now, when it first pulls it up, it's going to look like, what the hell just happened to my photo? Go to Boundary Warp. That's the first thing you do, and it makes it all clean again. Now, you've got 3 choices. Each of these choices are going to be different with each pano. You have to use all 3 during each pano. It only takes a few seconds to stitch a few photographs like that, especially JPEG with RAW files, like for my Nikon D500. It's going to take a little while. Spherical gives me that view, cylindrical gives me that view, and perspective gives me that view. My favorite is perspective. It gives more distance between the mountains. Like I say, spherical, the mountains look a little farther away. Cylindrical, they look a little farther away. Perspective, they look really far away. You can also, instead of doing the boundary wrap, you can go to auto crop. Does pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. Alright, hit merge when you're happy with what you've got. It takes a few seconds to do it, and while it's doing it, I want to explain why I did not color edit these before I brought them into the merge. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't, because you can always sync your files. Okay, let's go to our file, which is this one. Let's 5-star it by hitting the 5. Let's filter our, so that we've only got a few up here. Alright, that is our finished merge, and it looks pretty good. We need to saturate some colors, we need to put some lights in it and all that. The first thing I do to a photograph when I bring it into Lightroom, now the pano puts these automatic presets on it, based on intelligent design. I hit the Alt key and bring the blacks up. You don't want to bring the blacks back because there's no blacks in the photograph at all. All photographs need some black. I pull my blacks up quite a bit so I get a high contrast. Then I'll put my whites up to where the whites are just barely peeking through, maybe just a few pixels. That way there's only just a few pixels that are pure white. Alright, that looks pretty good for starting. Now, I use presets. I'm going to be going through some lessons on how to make presets and what presets are and all these tools that you've got here. I'll be making an extensive series on Lightroom. I'm just starting here because I'm out of work and I don't have anything to do, so I like to work. Alright, I've got tons of presets. I'm just going to scroll down and show you how many I got. And these aren't open. These aren't open. There's 30 or 40 presets anytime you see a little arrow. I've got a lot of presets. And I've also got my shortcuts on my end panels. How do I do that? I've got a video on how to do it. I'll leave a link in the description below. Alright, I love the Through the Woods series. I bought them on... I'll be making a video on where I got these from, but you can just search for Through the Woods Lightroom presets. I've got all the big names. I don't like to, because I'm a small channel, I don't want to make it seem like I'm shouting out to the big names. But you can see I've got some big names in here. Everybody knows these guys if you're into photography. Alright, my favorite presets are the natural everyday presets. They're just really cool. That's Blue Hour. That's Day Basic, Golden Hour, and all these can be backed off. You're only going for a starting point. You're not going for anything crazy. Now I like night because it really brings it out and makes it look like night, and I can bring those colors back in there. Oh, snow, now that's more natural. That's a little more how it was, because when you do a picture, oh, I like that. I love the fact that this guy puts circles of light, which I'll explain what that is here in just a second, in his photographs. Let's choose this one. Okay, the first thing I want to do to this preset is illuminate some of these up a little bit more. So I'm going to grab the circle tool, the radial tool, and if you scroll over the photograph and no pins are showing, hit the H key. I hide my pins a lot. I don't like pins. But you can move a pin just by grabbing it and moving it. I'm going to put this one under the tree. I'm going to move this one a little bit farther away from that one to where it's like that. I'm going to put this one a little offset from the sunset. Keep in mind this is a preset and this is how he sent them to me. He designed it. And of course you can design these as well. I like this guy because he uses his imagination. He's like Bob Ross to me in the photograph world. He paints a happy little tree. Now you can select one of them and hit duplicate. Right click on it and hit duplicate. And it duplicates it. And then we can illuminate some of these little leaves within this pond. Now we can click on this one, duplicate it. We can move it over to here to illuminate some of this road here a little bit. Now this road is also too purple. I don't like the purple in it. So what you can do with the linear tool is not only affect the exposure, bringing it real up, but you can bring it up to look at it to see what colors it is, and then you can take the saturation down. That takes some of those colors out. You can also warm it up a little bit. That brings back more earth tones. Now keep in mind, warm and green make sort of an earth tone naturally. Now you can take more dehaze out or in. Let's take the saturation down just a little bit more to give it a little more policing. Now keep in mind we're going to make it darker than this. We're not. We can even add a color. Let's add a little bit of a brownish color, tannish color. Something like that. Click off of it, and that adds a little bit of a brownish tone to it. Now we can warm it up a lot, like that. Now keep in mind, we can brush this off of the water. I'm going to show you how to do that here in a minute. But that's too bright. It's too unnatural. So we take the exposure back down. We got the colors right. That's what we wanted to do, was make the colors a little more less purple. Now we can also go here and duplicate it. Go over here and bring up this road, but then we can bring it back down so it's not so bright. But what that did was that changed the purples that were here. We can also click on that one and bring it down just a little bit. Now we can take our we've got the radial brush, radial filter. We can take it and hit brush, and then we can hit erase, or you can hit the alt key. You can take your bracket keys and make these smaller, these brushes, and that's true in all the brushes. And then we can just brush the brown tones out of the water, because I like the purple tones in the water. I just don't like the purple tones on the land. Now that's looking pretty good. Looks kind of natural. We've got some illumination here. Nothing here. I think we're pretty happy. Let's go into sharpness now. Okay, to go to sharpness, you want to go up here to one of your ratios. 1 to 2 really brings it in. You can see a little noise there. Now, something I wanted to explain, I'm going to be explaining this in a lot of the videos, is I've got my toolbars here set for solo. How you get to solo is right click on a toolbar and there's solo mode. If I take solo mode off, I can open basic, I can go down here and open tone curve, I can open up HLS, I can open up split toning, I can open up detail, I can open all of them up. But then what happens when I open all of them up is it takes forever to go back to the top. So what I do is I right click on the bar itself and just hit solo mode. And that way it only opens up one at a time. So if I open up basic and then I go down here and I open up HLS, it closes basic. It only opens one at a time. But I don't want to go to HLS right now. I want to go to sharpening because I'm zoomed in for that. Sharpening is found in the detail module. And I'll take the sharpening down just a little bit. Don't overdo these. Don't go to 100 on this. It makes it way too much. See how silky smooth that is? It turns it into a painting, which is cool if you want that effect. But for the most part, I'll bring it down to where just a touch of that noise shows up, but not much. Now you can also got control with the detail here. If you add detail, you need to add a little more luminance as a general rule. Now contrast makes it all crazy again, so I recommend keeping the contrast low. Color doesn't do a lot for most photographs that I found. That's if you get color aberrations or something like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, see this little thing right here? I don't know what that is. It don't look like a dust spot from the sensor, but you've got a spot removal tool here. Just bring it up here. Make it the size of the object. Don't make it any bigger. Just click on the bracket keys and then click on it. Boom. And it brings one over. Let's see what that looks like. Let's go to H. Yeah, that looks clean. Once again, going to H hides your pins or your information. Now let's go back to fit. That's looking pretty good. I like the reflections in the lake. Even though this is artificial, this was not in the sunset. It's just a boring sunset. I think it needs a little light. And I love this light here that really accents that broken tree there. Okay, what else do we want to do to this painting? That is about it. I'm thinking about taking this pin down just a little bit. In other words, this one here, I'm not going to expose it as much. I'm at 136. Keep in mind, it's not a good idea to go over 1 or 2 f-stops. Definitely don't go over 2 f-stops unless you just absolutely have to. Now we can also go to dehaze on that to bring it up just a little bit in some areas. We can also warm our shadows up, which gives it a little more contrast. And we can also add some contrast as well. Alright, I'm happy with that. I'm going to click onto that. And that is basically how you do a pano with a GoPro. This is a Hero 8. And just pano mode. Just keep in mind, you're shooting like this, and then moving it, and then moving it, and then moving it. It's as simple as that. Now you can also do landscape. Same thing, like that. I like doing panos this way because you get a big square picture like this. Alright, boys and girls, if you like this video, feel free to smash that subscribe button, click that little bell icon, like this video, and leave a comment. Tell me your tips on Lightroom. I'll be making a lot of videos on Lightroom over the next few weeks because I'm out of work until probably July. And I'm cool with that because I need a vacation anyway. I own my own tattoo shop. But I do miss work. That's why I'm making these videos, to have something to do to keep my mind off of the news and what's going on. So stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Till then, Joe Knows Stuff TV is out.